How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Armored Warfare with Scout. What we're going to do today is bring you a short video showing some PvP action in the Type 59 Legend. This is something I wanted to do in the Type 59 introduction video that I posted just a couple of days ago, but the matchmaker didn't cooperate. I haven't been playing on peak times, so I quite frequently get bad teams or incomplete teams that get stomped, and that's not very interesting to watch nor very demonstrative of the tank's capabilities. But I was finally able to get a couple of decent games in. This being one of the more interesting ones. I'm here on River Point, if I remember right. It's been a while since I played Armored Warfare in the Type 59. And as you can see, there's lots of Type 59s in this matchup, as you might expect with a new tank. We're heading out east, which, as I've said before, what I think main battle tanks are supposed to do. Now, you'll note I've only got two AMX 10Ps out here with me. Don't know if that's the best decision they ever made, but I do appreciate the help. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to stand up the main battle tanks in this corridor where it's going to be head-on-head engagement, so I'm pulling in behind this rock. Going to get hull down and see what I can do to stem the tide until hopefully help can arrive. Took a snapshot at that guy's turret. I thought maybe I could go through. I think that's an M48 patent, a tier 2 main battle tank. So I was hoping I could penetrate his turret with the armor-piercing rounds, but apparently not. Trying to inch up here, get a shot on that guy as he came up over the rise and tried to support this AMX 10P, but it's not happening. He turned, hit the front, and then I caught sight of this guy who's sitting rather exposed. We have very clean shots at his lower glacis, so we're going to take him here with armor piercing. You'll notice that I'm not using the heat rounds for this tank, and that's because I really don't like the heat rounds on this tank. They only have a... That was a fantastic shot by my gunner there, huh? Did you see that thing dive? As I was saying, though, the heat rounds only have a velocity of 750 meters per second. So when you're shooting kind of long distance, quotation fingers, this is long distance in this game, with heat rounds, it starts getting really tricky to get them to hit. So that's why I'm using my AP rounds. And now I'm here all alone. Got one guy off to my left staring down 4 tanks, but you'll note how strong the Type 59 is hull down. They just cannot penetrate my turret, and now they've given up and they're starting to sling high explosive rounds at my turret. You also notice the accuracy of the gun is not all that it could be. We've already seen 2 or 3 rounds dip or fly up or go somewhere that we did not aim them, causing us to miss or get bounces in what should have been pretty clearly hits. But we're able to secure our first kill there. And now we're going to transition back to this T-54. Once again, the gun kind of lets us down a little bit. The shot goes high and bounces off his upper glacis, but he turns now that he's feeling threatened. We're able to secure our second kill. And still, none of these shots that I'm aware of have actually penetrated the turret. This is all HE damage, and we're still sitting here holding up this convoy of tanks. And now our team has finally penetrated just on the other side of the wall, just to our west, and they're starting to pull in behind, and these guys are about to have a real bad day. Got the green armor penetration indicator there, so went in and took the shot, able to penetrate the turret that time. Just to our right, the left, as you're sitting in the tank of the gun mantlet on that M48. That shot was never going to hit, but I figured it was worth a try. Now he sees the threat behind him, he's turning around. We want to try to get a shot into his flank as he moves past. Able to sink that one and hit the engine, starting a fire and secure our third kill. And now this poor guy has suddenly run out of friends, and he's doing what he can. Good job to the guy to shield any fire that I might have at him. I had a shot at the back of his tank there just a second ago, but you saw that friendly tank crossing behind him, and I didn't want to miss and then have my shot hit a friendly, which is why I didn't take it, and it wasn't much of a shot to begin with. Thinking now about trying to send around into his cupola, maybe sneak a kill. Not quite. Gun's just not really accurate for that, and let's be honest, no matter what kind of gun you have, that's not really much of a shot. Loading an HE round here, I was going to try it again, but he dies before we can get the HE round loaded. Now, here's kind of the issue that I've run into this tank as well. You notice that I'm almost out of armor piercing rounds. So we're going to go to heat, and I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Once again, long distance shot. Not much of that guy showing. Look how long it takes that round to get there, and look how it arcs. It does have very much more of a ballistic arc than your armor piercing rounds. Something else that you kind of have to take into consideration when you're trying to use these heat shells. I've tried to use them several times because the damage per minute of the tank, as I showed you guys in the garage, is really based on the heat shells, but that's what tends to happen. You fire a shot and it probably would have been good, but the guy is going to move and react to something before your shell gets there at 750 meters per second. And often, unless you're at very close range, you're going to end up missing. And I have not had a lot of success with the heat shells. Probably the only complaint that I have really with the Type 59. Other than that, it's a very competitive tank, and hopefully, as you guys saw throughout the course of this video, it has a very strong turret, probably even stronger effectively than the T62. And if you can get this thing hull down and your flanks are secure, the enemy team is going to have a really, really hard time digging you out of that hull down position. And it's very similar to the T62 in that way. The T62 is also a very strong defensive tank. Once you get out and about and start maneuvering, your upper glacis isn't all that strong. It will bounce some shots, but your lower glacis is a very big target, very easy to hit. I really feel like the T62 is much stronger in a defensive position as opposed to, say, the M60 Patton. I feel a little more comfortable getting out and about in. And I think that's even more so the case here with the Type 59 Legend. So there's our first victory with the Type 59 Legend. We'll give it a second here, get past this loading screen and see what kind of results we get. There we are, finally done with the loading screen, and now you can see the results of that battle. 2,121 points of damage, 1,130 points of spotting damage, getting us a grand total of 142,000 credits, 6,064 experience. And that's really what you want out of your Type 59, your premium tanks. You'll also note we fired 20 shots, 16 of which hit, and we took 16 hits, but only took 200 actual points of damage. So yeah, that goes to show you just how strong the turret on this tank can be if you get it hull down. So there you have it. That's game one in the Type 59. Let's do one more and see how it turns out. Alright, so here we are on Roughneck in our Type 59. Matchup is pretty good. For the most part, it's tier 3s. We've got a couple of tier 4s in there, but it's an OF40. I'm not really scared of him. In fact, our heat ammunition should do a number on him if we get an opportunity to use it. So I feel pretty confident going into the refinery and duking it out in this type of setup. I don't think there are many of their tier 4s that can stand up toe-to-toe with me. So we're pretty lucky in that respect. But remember what I told you guys earlier about teams not playing the way you would like them to. It looks like this team is going to lemming train to the north. And yeah, as confident as I am in the armor of the Type 59, I'm not real confident in the armor of the Type 59 against 4 or 5 enemies. So I guess we'll spin around and go back north with the rest of the lemming train. And this is where you guys are probably noticing something, if you hadn't noticed it in the first video, that I kind of picked up on as I was playing the Type 59, and it is not the most maneuverable of tanks. It's not slow by any means, it's not a slug, but it's not exactly fast either. It doesn't get anywhere quick. And you kind of saw that at the end of the last video, and I'm hoping that you guys will really see kind of the maneuverability aspects of the Type 59 in this game. I don't want to say it's a downside to the tank, but it is something you need to kind of be aware of. It's not, I feel like it's not quite as quick maybe as the T62 or some of the other tanks. It's more like, I would say more, say, Patton speed. You know how the Patton feels a little bit slow, those of you that have played it, and that's where I feel like the Type 59 is in comparison. Trying to get up here so that we can see far enough to put shots on the top of the ridge, but having a little bit of problem. And now by the time we get up here, the south side is being threatened, so we're going to turn back around. This so far seems to be going our way, and I don't want to lose it to a cap. So once again, I found a spot where I can get hull down. I can work the 6 degrees of gun depression as much as you can work 6 degrees of gun depression, more like live with it. And I want to try to counter this threat to our base. Now you notice I've got heat rounds loaded. I'm still trying to work with the heat rounds on this tank. Let's see whether or not we have any luck with them. Shot on a moving BMP here, and I don't think that would have hit regardless of what we had loaded. It looks like he dove right as I pulled the trigger, and unfortunately we're not going to get a shot at him. But we do have a shot at this leopard. And there again, you see how the 750 meter per second muzzle velocity really bit us in the ass there and cost us a hit. So now I've loaded armor piercing, and we're rewarded with a hit on the leopard. I would really like to be shooting heat ammunition here. It would do a much better job of tearing up this leopard, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it to hit while he's moving around, shinking and jiving. And at this kind of range, I have no faith in the heat round, so I stayed with the armor piercing there. Now we want to move up a little bit, continue to try to support the cap, and that's when I spotted the OF-40 here. Again, back off a little bit, try to make sure there's nothing but our turret showing above this rail embankment, and continue to pump rounds in him. And once again, you're also seeing kind of the accuracy of the Type 59. It's not all that fantastic. Roughly comparable to the Type T62, maybe even a shade worse in actual gameplay. You saw we bounced one on that leopard. It went way too low and either deflected off of a piece of his tracks or didn't even hit him. And you saw it again there, that second round at that OF-40. Trying to line up a shot here. Didn't really have much of a hope of going in unless I could hit the side of his turret, but it does get his attention, let him know that people here make him back off. We are able to sink that shot into the side of that. It looks like a T62 though. Right now I'm just comfortable with my position, trying to protect the south and put pressure on this OF-40 here. You see he's looking for him. He's scrambling around trying to find a way to get clear of all the fire that's coming at him. I thought I could hit him through that wall, but apparently I mistimed it. Put another shot into him there. And here again, this is another engagement where I would like to be using heat rounds. They would be a lot more effective against this thinly armored, well, at least the thinly armored hull of the OF-40, especially when we had his side. But again, I don't trust the heat rounds to go where I'm aiming them. There we bounce a shot from the OF-40 right off of our turret. Trying to go for the kill here. And once again, the gun lets us down. I have no idea where that round went. You also notice a little funny reticle behavior. It jumps and skips about. There we're able to secure a hit on the OF-40, but not quite enough, unfortunately, for the kill. That going down to the low alpha damage of the armor piercing rounds as opposed to the heat rounds. So here you're really seeing kind of that round issue that I talked about in the Type 59 review. Trying to squeak in another shot here. Looks like a leopard. Got a little bit of a piece of him, and then there was another piece that he peeked through, but I can't really line up anything that looks like a reliable shot. I'm happy to sit here and continue putting fire into the tanks that are on the edge of this refinery because it keeps them from moving up. And it looks like a lot of our guys are in kind of a vulnerable position if these guys were to push out, but apparently only this guy is showing any inclination to do so. Tried to ambush him there as he continued on, but he dipped down. There's a ridge right there, and I think he hit it right before my round got there, so he ended up going underneath it. And now there's some pressure on the cap. Heard the siren going off, so I'm going to try to get down here and help out this Zalo rather than leave him alone. There could be up to 2 tanks on the cap, and I don't want to leave him in a lightly armored vehicle fighting 2 tanks. But there's the other Type 59. It looks like he's going after our artillery. Put a shot into his flank there. He's aware of the threat, drives down. Smart play, forces me to chase him or go to the cap, one or the other. And because we could actually lose by capping, where if the artillery dies we're not guaranteed a loss, I'm going to go ahead and go this way and make sure that the cap gets reset. No need to. Zalo takes care of it. And now we can spin around and eliminate this Type 59. Trying to hustle back in time to save the artillery, but here again, you see kind of the speed issues of the Type 59. Again, it's not really enough that I would say it's a solid weakness of the tank, but it does frustrate you sometimes. As you see here, I'm not fast enough to get back to save the artillery. And look at that Zalo, he really wants the kill. Kind of surprised that that armor piercing round did not go in, but once again that shows you the strength of the side armor on the Type 59. We talked about it in the garage review. I should have thought about that pulled up alongside and taken that shot straight in. Instead, I underestimated the strength of the side armor. Even after I posted a review on it, was rewarded with a bounce and a track instead of a penetrating hit and a kill. So something you do want to keep in mind there if you're engaging a Type 59 is if you have flank shots, don't just assume they're going to go in. You want to make sure you've got a relatively straight shot into the side because it does have that thick side armor like we talked about in the review. Now it's just a matter of chasing down these last two M60s, and once again note the speed of the Type 59. I feel like the T62 could have gotten up here a little bit quicker, and I'm starting to get a little bit concerned at this point. I've only got 2 armor piercing rounds left. I don't trust heat rounds to go through an M60, definitely not from the front, and he's got those big old tracks covering his side, which may present problems for our heat rounds. So I'm telling the team now that if I go up here and just take hits for you and face hug them and try to occupy them, don't make that a waste. Come over the hill and shoot, because you can see on the mini map they're kind of dragging their feet getting up here. What I want to do is go around them and get on their flank, but one of them came up and took a peek there and identified me as I was coming in. Tried to snapshot him. Yeah, no chance of that working in this tank, but at least apparently it's enough to make him back down or hesitate a second, so I can scramble over here to this base of this hill for cover and kind of get up under his gun. Now the XM800T's coming in behind him, and they're probably pulling back down to deal with that threat, and I'm going to go over the top and tank flank shots, except the Type 59 just does not have the horsepower to get up this hill, so we're going to back it up, come out at a slightly less steep angle in reverse, and that's good enough to get me up here where I can now continue over the ridge. Unfortunately, the XM800 buys it because I couldn't quite get up the hill, but now the Zalo's up, he's engaging, the M60's looking at him, and by the time he realizes I'm here on his flank, it's too late, and we're able to secure the last kill of the game. So yeah, it's a pretty good game in the Type 59, and I think it really demonstrates the things that we talked about in our garage review of the Type 59. Its strengths as well as, I don't want to say its weaknesses, but some of its downsides. So let's take a look at the results screen and then we'll wrap this video up. And there we go. Now we have the results of our battle on Roughneck, and as you can see, 2,773 points of damage. Much less spotting damage this time, only 385, but still we're awarded 161,000 credits and over 6,000 experience. Again, that's just really what this tank is good for, in my opinion, especially if you're new to the game. This is a fantastic tank to rack up experience, to convert into global experience, and as well as to make credits to earn you some tier 4 and tier 5 vehicles. As long as you play it intelligently, I really don't think you can go wrong with this tank. The only bad things really I have to say about it, honestly, are the heat rounds. As you've seen consistently in both of these gameplay videos, they're fantastic for PvE work, but for PvP, yeah, I really just do not recommend you try using the heat rounds. I would go ahead and in fact have 2 separate loadouts, AP heavy for PvP and heat heavy for PvE, purely because of the muzzle velocity discrepancy that you're seeing right now. So that's it, folks. That completes our look at the Type 59 Legend here in Armored Warfare. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you have, give us a like, throw a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching. You folks take care, and we'll see you next time.